flex, flex, your hustle. Flex, 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 your hustle. Flex, 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 your hustle. Flex, 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 your hustle. Hey, flex, 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 your hustle. Hey, flex, 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 your hustle. Hey, flex, 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 your hustle. Hey, flex, flex, hey, flex, your hustle.
Welcome back to the Flex Your Hustle podcast, and we have a special episode today, episode number 7, and we are joined by a really special guest, DJ Alba. And yeah, how are you doing, Alba?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. How are you?
I'm great. It's nice to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. So basically, Alba, we're just gonna get straight into it. You know, we want to know, where are you from?
Well, okay. I'm from. Actually, that's a really weird question because I was born in Ongwediva, a few kilometers out of Ongwediva. I think 20 kilometers probably. So grade 1, grade 2, I kind of moved to Hentis Bay. That's where I kind of spent my childhood. And from there on, I moved to Swakop until I finished high school. And after that, around 2010, that's where I moved to Windhoek, and that's where I'm based now.
That's where you're based now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where basically the whole DJ Alba brand is like
Basically,
rooted from?
yeah, that's where it started as well.
That's where it started as
Yeah.
well. So how did that journey go, like starting to be DJ Alba?
The journey was weird because initially I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to sing, I wanted to rap, I wanted to dance. But then the moment I get in front of the stage, like in front of people, I cannot. I had severe stage fright. I could not open my mouth to sing. So I was like, okay, what else can I do that is closely related to music? And I think DJing also just happened by chance because I had a friend who had, I got my first PC. And then I was like, okay, bro, let me get movies from you, right? And then I saw this little app. It was Virtual DJ. And then I'm like, okay, let me just also take this one. Okay, nah. I took it. I think I started playing around with it for like over a year or so. And then I'm like, I actually like the way DJing. I didn't even know what DJing was, honestly. Because I remember seeing DJs on Channel O. That time it was DJ Pierre, DJ Waxy, Channel O. And I'm like, what are these guys doing? What are these guys doing? I'm like, okay, fine. I didn't understand. And then only when I got that app is when I understood what DJing was. I loved how you can actually remix a song, like you can fuse 2 songs and make it sound like one song. And I'm like, okay, this is something I can actually do. So that's where I started. And then a guy friend of mine invited me to Unam Radio to do a live mix.
Okay.
And then from there on, I think they posted the mix on Unam Radio's Facebook page. And from there on, I just started getting calls. Don't you want to come DJ? Are we having some activations and then from there on, it was rockets, I guess. Yeah.
No, that's great because you look at it and you're just like, from nowhere you get a virtual DJ from someone's PC, and next thing you are the most wanted DJ in town. Yeah, so that's really great. So now, as far as DJing inspiration, you know, and you said that you wanted to be an artist. How did you go from artist, and what influenced you in the first place to just even want to be an artist?
I loved singing, but then, like I said, I couldn't sing in front of people. But then, so I was like, let me do something that's close to music, because I really just wanted to be in the music industry. It didn't matter what I was doing as long as I'm close to like, or in the music industry itself. So DJing happened by chance, and I'm like, okay, this is actually something I can do, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm probably gonna be in the corner there just DJing and nobody's gonna look at me or nobody's gonna pay attention to me. But little did I know, I don't know.
You definitely be the center of attention.
It's funny how things worked out, because I would be DJing there, and people are just standing in front of me. Like I don't know if they are wondering what is this child doing, because number one, at that time I didn't know of any females that are DJing in Namibia and all over. Like I didn't know of any DJs. So I was like, are these people looking at me because I'm a girl, or are these people looking at me because of my height? Because I was super petite that time. I was super small. I'm still small, but that time it was now worse. So I'm wondering now, what are these people looking at? So it also made me nervous at that time. So I'm like, okay, oh well, I'm gonna have to live with this, I guess. So that's why.
I think also understanding that DJing is mostly a male-dominated industry.
Yeah.
But how do you as a female navigate that?
I think I was also lucky the time I started. There was basically no female DJs, and people like Celos D, people like DJ Chinchilla, people like Slick Fisherman, all those people really helped me understand the industry. They were really, really helpful. I think I was lucky enough that the DJs actually they were not really hard on me. They helped me. It's like they really lifted me and helped me throughout the whole journey. So I was super lucky. I can't really say the same about the upcoming female DJs now, because the industry is a bit saturated now, and it's actually more difficult to actually penetrate that industry. But I feel like I was really lucky. I really had a lot of support from the other DJs. So yeah, I was privileged. Yeah.
And why would you say that it's difficult for a female DJ to get into DJing right now?
Because right now it's a lot of people that want to DJ, especially the females. There are people coming out now like DB and Gogo. There are people like, I don't know, there's a lot of people that are DJing, so everybody's like, they probably feel like it's something that's very simple, and it's something that you can learn overnight. So it's like, and then when you come out, it's not really as easy as it was back then, because now people are familiar with DJs being female as well as male. So yeah,
it becomes pretty hectic.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And I understand that, because as much as it becomes oversaturated, you get into a position where you yourself, I would think of you as definitely a pioneer of the DJs for the females in Namibia.
Yeah.
And for you to break through after someone has created such a reputation, it becomes very difficult, because you would have already set the bar.
Yeah. And also the thing is, I also didn't want to be like, just, okay, she's a female. Okay, we are booking her because she's a female. I wanted to really like spend time crafting, like really getting all my mixes right. Everything, just learning everything that I needed to learn as a DJ. It doesn't matter whether I'm female or a male. Like I needed to make sure that all my mixing skills and beat matching skills were on point. So yeah, so.
And I get why you'd want to be hired, aside from the fact that you are a female DJ. You'd want to have actually something of value to provide. So how, in getting to learn all the skill sets and things, did you not only learn from people? Did you go and maybe Google somewhere? How did you get to know the information?
I learned from a lot of people. I practiced, I learned, I watched YouTube videos. So it's a whole process, but I didn't study it or anything. It's basically just a learning process. I remember my first public set, I was shivering, I pressed the wrong buttons, I was messing up. But it's a whole learning process, man. Like, you get used to it somehow.
And how did you pick yourself up after that set? I mean, you must have felt bad.
I did feel bad, yes, because I remember it was the first gig I had. I don't know if you guys remember Dr. Tainment, the all-white parties in Windhoek Spring Fiesta. They had DJ Lamise. She's married to Kulichana now. Okay. She was their first guest. That time she was also just starting out. Okay. And she was like, she came to me, at least she complimented my song selection, but I knew she knew I was messing up with the beat matching, and I could also sense it. So I was like, okay, no, it's fine. At least she knows my music selection is okay. So I was like, I didn't take it too personally or too hard. I was like, okay, great. We move on. You learn as you go. So yeah, I didn't beat myself up over it.
And I think it's quite important to not beat yourself up when you take losses, during the first time of ever doing anything. Because I remember, guys, if you've been watching the podcast from the start, right, go watch episode 1 and then come watch this episode. And you can compare 2 completely different episodes in completely different spaces. But understand that for growth to take place, you need to go through and get that criticism.
Yeah, you have to fail in order for you to actually understand what you need to do. That's different from what you did before.
Definitely. So, like, how would you handle such criticism, per se, with any of your sets or like stuff that you would do on your sets or performances?
I don't actually take them personally, like I said. Everybody is not, because most of the time, if somebody has a problem, it's because you didn't play a song that they requested. So I'm like, I can't really play music that only one person wants to listen to. So I have to look at who is in the audience and what are they resonating with. So I kind of have to kind of go with a bigger crowd, and I'll have to squeeze in your song depending on which tempo I am or which vibe I am. If you are lucky, I can squeeze it in, but if you are not, I'm sorry, there's really nothing I can do.
It is what it is.
Yeah, because if I have to play one song for one person, everybody else is not dancing, because everybody came to have fun and it's only one person on the dance floor. And that person, they would also feel that, oh, nobody's dancing, I'll also go sit. Because you're playing that song for one person and the rest, they're not vibing to that one song.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense, because I look at it and I'm like, okay, I always see people like pulling up to the DJ and they're like, no, just play this song,
Exactly.
And then when the DJ doesn't play the song, they get upset. But then in the end, the DJ is saving you from your own embarrassment.
Exactly, because it doesn't make sense. You are playing a hip hop set, right? And somebody comes to you asking for a piano when you've already played a piano before. So it's weird to kind of switch back for one song and go back to hip hop.
And go from Drake to Tilly Lily.
Exactly, it doesn't make sense. It kind of really doesn't make sense.
Okay, so no, like as far as like sets and in performing, another thing that we're curious to find out is like the brand aspect of it, because we've looked at your social media and what you've done thus far, and we see that the Alba brand is actually a very serious brand. So like, how did you get to go from just being DJ Alba to building your brand?
Over the years, like I said, I really just wanted to DJ, sit in a corner and just play music. Then I realized over the years, I need to do something that can actually add value to my brand, because like I said, the DJing industry, actually the entertainment industry as a whole, is saturated. So you have to do something that will set you apart. You have to do something that will have, like, you have to be consistent, basically. You guys, I don't actually know what to say after that.
But being consistent, how would you advise someone to be consistent as a brand?
You just keep doing what you are doing. It doesn't matter whether it's a flop or not, as long as you are putting out material, as long as you are posting or whatever it is that you are doing, just add value to your brand, basically. So that's what I've been trying to do with DJ Alba. I don't want my brand to kind of stay stagnant. So at the beginning, I was only DJing, right? So I added dancing, I added MCing. So I would really interact with the crowd as I play, and just kind of make sure that my crowd is actually connecting with me, because I just DJing there and you're just standing, nobody's gonna pay attention to you. So I was like, okay, what can I do to connect? Because I really want to connect with people. That's one thing that I realized, that people really want to connect with you. The moment they have a connection with you is when they actually remember you the next day. A club is a place where we're just jamming, it's music. But then the moment you speak to the crowd, you are connecting, really giving attention to them, is when they'll remember you the next day. You're like, oh, there was this other girl DJing there, so yeah. That's how I'm really, my main focus is really just connecting with my audience. Definitely. That's number one, yeah.
And I guess it's important to connect with your audience because you relate to them. And also everyone in the building feels like I spoke to DJ Alba.
Yes,
when in reality they didn't have a conversation with you, but you spoke to them. But I find it really weird, like you say you're shy, right? But you do all of these things. Like, how do you keep surpassing that? Like, how do you pass that shyness?
I had to push myself, and I think obviously the DJing already helped because it was a whole journey. It was a whole journey of me just standing behind the deck and just DJing and playing music. And then slowly but surely, I remember the first time I picked up a mic to talk to the audience. That time I'm playing with Max. Max is the one DJing. I was waiting for her to mix in the other song. So
Confirm Max is like when you two combine.
Yes. So I'm like, I'm taking the mic. But I took the mic and then I went under the table and spoke. I'm like, it was so nerve-wracking, really. I'm like, So and then I'm like, that really felt good, even though I was not like speaking to the audience directly. They didn't even see who was talking, but that really felt good. And then after that, I think the other time I spoke was, I just announced something, and then one of the owners of the places, I think it was the Catch, Robert, he was like, Alba, you really have a good radio and mic voice. Why don't you MC more? And then from there on, I just started taking the mic like without any fear. And
I keep seeing this pattern in your story, is to say that you keep throwing yourself in like uncomfortable situations.
Yes.
And you always come out triumphant from them. And I feel like if most people adopted that, we would have a lot more talented people in various industries, whether it was DJing, podcasting, musicians, because it's important to always throw yourself in an uncomfortable position. You'll be surprised at what happens.
Exactly. They say if your dreams don't scare you, then it's not worth it. So I'm like, okay, this scares me, but I'm going to do it anyways. If it fails, it fails. But if it doesn't, let's move.
Move. So now, like, you've been DJing for a while, and you say that you're mostly well known in Windhoek. What's like your most memorable moment in Windhoek as a DJ?
Definitely the show with Kamumpela at the Catch. That was my first time I performed my single. It's a single that I recorded with the Glow, and I sang from the beginning to the end. So I had a whole performance. Like, my introduction set for my DJ set was me performing, and then I went back to the deck. So that was for me like, it was such a nice feeling. It was really a nice feeling. So,
and the crowd must have been going crazy.
Yes, I think it was really my best performance thus far. Yeah.
No, and we really wish many more performances for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And how was it like working with South African artists? Like, how is the collaborative spirit in the sense between the two nations?
I mean, they're willing, but obviously they're charging. It's all about money, so it's not easy to actually get a collaboration that side unless you actually really know the people personally. But even with that, they're just gonna discount the price. Not really. It's never for free.
It's never for free. I feel like once things become for free, I understand, in certain collaborations, some things happen organically.
Yeah.
In my experience, some of my best collaborations in my marketing business is to say that we collaborated for free, and it turned out to be this wonderful project that led to many projects. But I understand in the music industry, as much as you may think you are collaborating for free and you might get something from it, understand that there are people there's bills that have to be paid.
Exactly, yeah. So it's tricky, man. It's really tricky. And sometimes people think that if you collaborate with somebody, you're gonna make it or some magic potion, but it's never like that. It's tricky, man. It's not always that you have to rely on other people's collaborations in order for you to excel to another level, but yeah, it's nice, but it's not always like what you expect.
Definitely. You just have to have your own source.
Yeah.
You just have to have your own source. And I think that's very much relative because understand that when you have momentum,
Yeah.
you see, you've been DJing in the north, you go and DJ in Swako, you go to Vinduk, then you keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
By the time someone like Kamo or any other artist or DJ pops up,
Yeah.
when that collaboration happens, it's like more like an explosive because
Yeah.
you'd have built the momentum.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Some things happen naturally, I guess.
Yeah. So now when you DJ at the Catch in all of these places, what is it that you always look forward to aside from DJing?
What do you mean?
When I say aside from DJing, personally for me, I've never DJed in my life. Okay, I'm the worst with virtual DJ. But one thing I know about like all these event spaces, I understand to say it's not only about the music. And you mentioned connecting with people.
Yes.
And personally for me, I always look forward, whether it's the Catch or any other place, to connect with different kinds of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, like especially when looking at it at events, I always like say rather sell an experience rather than just you creating an event. Let the people go home and think and remember the show basically. So it's more of an experience, selling people an experience and not just giving people a product. Yeah. So
I guess
that's what I go
that's
for.
really key.
Yeah.
I guess also when selling an experience, knowing the thing is as humans, right? We remember the things we feel, whether it's pain, good feelings.
Exactly.
So like when you sell someone an experience, you're selling them those feelings and emotion,
Emotion.
And I mean, if you have a feel good emotion every time you pull up to the Catch or Brewers or any of these places, I mean, you're going to keep going there.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's actually really great because I look at it and it not only applies in the event industry or music industry, it also applies like in the business industry.
Exactly.
Because from my perspective, I look at it, even when it comes to like my agency, I always focus on selling an experience. And you get to a point where a client will tell you to say, okay, your product is good, right? I appreciate your service. For example, we do like social media marketing. I'll give this example. So this one time, we're marketing for this lady, right? She's like, no, your marketing is actually really great. But you know what I like the most? Then I'm like really curious, like, okay, what else are you gonna like aside from the service I'm offering you? And then she says to me, no, the way you guys spoke to me made me feel like I was speaking to my friend. But my friend was helping me achieve my business goals. And till today, she's one of my number one clients.
Yes.
And from understanding that, from that day onwards, I came to understand to say the experience really does matter in retaining a person.
Yes, it definitely does matter.
So, like, how do you, as a DJ, retain a crowd? Because I understand, we have different sets of people in a crowd, and it's all kinds of like people from different places. How do you like keep them entertained?
Because I try to play different sets, genres. I don't only focus on one genre. I try to like cater for everybody that's there. Because I realize, okay, in SA you can play a whole house set for an hour or even the whole night. It's just the mapiano, it's what. But our population actually doesn't allow that. So you have to kind of be versatile. So I taught myself I need to learn how to mix different genres, so I cater for a broader audience. So that's how basically I retain a crowd, I guess. Yeah, because I'm not only playing for one specific crowd. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's actually great because you look at it and I understand that the guys who are in the crowd are the ones who decide whether your set is lit, And it's the same thing with outside music, and you go into the business perspective, where it's really the market that decides whether your product is good or service is good.
Exactly.
Only then can you have that, listening ear to say, okay, these guys are really lit of this, and I should put more of that in my set or in my business. Yeah. So like now, basically going back to a topic that you mentioned, branding wise, we've seen your collaboration with Horizon. How did that even come about?
Well, I was actually in the north. I was playing at Element. Then I just get a whole email. No, we love your page. Or how we would want to work with you for Horizon. And I'm like, okay, great. Let me taste the beers, and I loved the berry flavor. I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I don't know how they found me. I honestly don't know, so I can't, because they didn't give me that story. But yeah, it was a good collaboration. Hopefully, I can do more with the breweries. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's actually really great. And I feel like, when these brands support acts or artists or DJs, I feel like it enhances the experience as well.
Exactly.
Because everywhere you go, if someone sees a Horizon, they know to say, okay, it's DJ Alba.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a nice feeling when somebody drinks an Horizon beer, let's say, or any other brand that you are helping promote. And then they tag you in the picture and say, "Oh, I bought this because of DJ Alba." That is, it's also very uplifting feeling.
Definitely. So what advice would you give to anyone who's upcoming, who would want to be associated with the brand? What did you feel you had that any other female DJ didn't have to get that Horizon deal?
Well, I think the consistency. It's always the consistency. It's how you present yourself as an artist or as a creative. Take caution on what you post on your social media pages, because obviously this era is really social media based. It's social media is becoming a really big marketplace. So take your pages really seriously. If you want to have something that's for fun, have 2 different pages, but the other one is for strictly business. Like all my pages, I look at them as businesses and not just any other page.
And what you said is really true. Like social media is really playing a role. Because have you heard what happened to Muesli, for example, with the whole cruise vodka deal?
No.
So wait, basically story time. So now Muesli is, I don't know which event she's at, right?
Yeah.
And then there's some pictures she posted on the socials. She's holding a castle light.
Okay.
Right? Meanwhile, she's got a deal with Cruise Vodka. Right? And in their contract, there's a clause that says she's not supposed to post any picture with another alcohol brand aside from theirs, and then she lost the deal. And then you look at that and you're like, okay, I need to be really cautious, when you start moving as an entity or as a brand. I look at it also when, personally for me, the podcast is still young, but I know it's growing, and eventually I'll be moving not only as Flex Your Hustle podcast, but as myself. And right now you're moving as DJ Alba. And it's really important to post things that match with your brand.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like you really need to be mindful of what you are posting on the socials, because you never know. You really never know. There's like a carbon footprint or some sort.
Yeah, that's really
They
true.
will always find it, whatever you say that's gonna temper your brand. Yeah.
And how has social media impacted, or helped you grow as a DJ?
I mean, I recently put out a reel. I was literally doing it for fun. It's a reel that went viral in Namibia, and then after a few weeks, it was quiet, and then SA started posting it, and Kenya started posting it, and I got, I think, over 4,000 followers in 3 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
So that's the power of social media. As long as you are mindful of what you are putting out, even if it's for fun, you're like, okay, it's for fun, but it's clean, it's nice. Let me entertain my followers.
Was it the real way, it was like you and a bunch of people on set?
No, it's me transitioning clothing.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So it's something I did when I was really bored. It was during lockdown, so I was like on a Sunday during the week, let me just shoot a few stuff and try it out. It went viral. So yeah, man, you just have to be mindful of what you put out and try to entertain your audience. Try to put out something that's a bit different from the normal. Like, people are used to me as DJ Alba, so they don't know the fashion side of me. They don't know the side of me that loves trees and flowers and farming and things like that. So I try to put all of that into in my stories, because obviously my feed is a bit corporate, but on my stories, I'm like, I let people in on what I really actually love me as a person, as Albertina at home.
Okay.
Yeah, so not too much though, but yeah, just a glimpse.
Just a glimpse.
Yeah.
So like, who taught you all this corporate branding? This, it seems like there's someone really behind, like polishing you on this.
I taught myself. I read a lot.
Okay.
I watch a lot of business podcasts. I watch a lot of business documentaries, and yeah, definitely I read a lot. Not really read, but I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Okay.
Yeah, I've read a lot of books like already this year. So
what audiobook would you recommend?
what audiobook would I recommend? Because I read not only business books, it's more books that have to do with emotional intelligence, how to kind of deal with people, because at the end of the day, as a business, you need to have a really good understanding of how people work. So what is the book that really changed my mind? I think it's The Four Agreements.
Okay.
I think also, what is this book? I forgot the name of the book. Oh my goodness. But also The Game of Life and how to play it. And I didn't finish Rich Dad Poor Dad. No, I didn't finish that one. And what is that book? That is the number one book that changed my life. But I forgot the name. I don't know why. Maybe it's the nerves, but
It's definitely a book that played a role.
Yeah, it did. Now I'm trying to remember, but
personally, for me, I think emotional intelligence books put you at a very advanced pace. When it comes to dealing with people, because not only will you be able to entertain a conversation like we're doing right now, but also understanding that people think in very similar ways, but also as much as people are diverse and everything, we all have a pattern of communication that we do follow.
Exactly.
So like personally for me, when it comes to like audiobooks, when it comes to emotional intelligence and like social skills, I like How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Okay, I read that as well.
That is a really good book, Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie.
Yeah. So like that guy really explains how to handle people. And I see like, in whatever industry you're in, it's always important to know how to handle people.
Yeah.
Because I think recently I saw a reel on Instagram. It was explaining to say that if you're chasing money, you will not find money. But if you chase people, money will come naturally.
Yeah.
And really understanding that this whole business game is a people's game.
It is.
It's always been a people's game.
So for me, number one, emotional intelligence. That's my main focus, and I mastered it. Not really, you can never really master anything, but I read so many books and watched so many podcasts regarding that, because I really also just wanted to understand myself as a person and why I do specific things the way I do, and realize, okay, a lot of things also stem from somewhere, your childhood, what is stored in your subconscious, and kind of how it comes out. So if you don't deal with that, it's going to come out in a negative emotion. So yeah, I needed to understand that. So that's what led me to actually go deeper into also business.
And how important was it, like, knowing yourself?
I think it really helped me be the person that I am. It also helped me. You asked me about how do I put myself in things that make me uncomfortable, like making myself sing. It's because I understood that if I don't do this, it's literally because of fear that I am not doing something. And fear is just in your mind. It's not something that's real. It's basically an illusion. So, yeah, man, I needed to understand myself as to why am I so shy? Why am I so scared to do this? I'm like, I need to get over this. I really need to get over this because I really want to perform for people. I want to do this on stage. Why can't I do it? Yeah, after finding out, obviously, why I'm the way I am, I think things got easier for me.
And I feel like the only way you can progress is if you have self-awareness.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much self-awareness, when you get to understand yourself.
Exactly.
Because there are people who are shy to do things and they just say, I'm shy, and then they leave the thing, and then they completely leave something that could have made them the biggest person, one of the biggest people on earth, And I feel like life is too short to be scared of really small things like your feelings. Yeah. It's best to like live it up right now. Yeah. So like when it comes to like not only your DJing, we also know that you have jewelry store. What's the name?
House of Nalo.
House of Nalo.
Yeah.
Also, that's where you get all the ice.
Yo.
I see.
Yeah.
So like, how did that come about?
I've always been a creative from the very beginning. If I'm not singing, I am making clothes for my doll, or I am making bracelets, or I'm making earrings, or whatever it is. And then I would wear the stuff right at school and whatnot. People are always asking me, where did you buy that? Where did you whatever? I'm like, okay, no, I didn't buy it. I made it myself. So I think that's where the ideas stemmed from. So I started creating my own stuff and whatnot. Yeah. So now we're also incorporating handmade stuff with imported stuff. So yeah, we're growing.
Definitely, and I look at that page and I'm like, it's so clean, you know. And I understand why your brand is such a strong brand, and it's because you have sat down and studied it, you know, and you've taken time to curate it. And I feel like a lot of people in the Namibian space, you know, need to understand that if you have an ugly poster or an ugly ad for your product, I'm not gonna buy your item, no matter how much good it is, even if it saves people's lives.
Yeah.
As long as the advertising is not great, I will not be interested in it.
Yep. It's all about presentation. Yeah.
Definitely. Presentation is really important. Yeah. So like aside from House of Nalo, right? Is there anything else you're working on the entrepreneur side?
Yeah, I'm trying to branch out into interior design and decor. But that's still going to be under House of Nalo, so it's going to be a different division from House of Nalo, but it's still going to be under that.
Okay.
Yeah, and clothing and the other one, I don't want it to be out there. So.
Okay, not yet, just not yet. So you guys have to like, you know, watch and keep watching for a while, and then maybe you might see what else she's got in store. But like, how did you get to saying you want to get into interior design?
Creativity. I call myself a creative entrepreneur because at the end of the day, I really want to create a whole creative empire. I want to, especially kids out there, like, I think our elders look at creativity as something that's not really lucrative or something that people don't really, or people can live off. They don't see it as something that's a real job. But I really want to inspire kids or anybody who wants to be in that industry that there's a possibility as long as you are consistent, as long as you are like, you are really pushing. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't even know how to put it, but as long as you are focused and you really are determined to do something in the sphere of creativity, you can do it. Yeah.
I feel like as creatives, what a lot of creatives have to fight, you know, it's either insecurity, you know, because I personally, for me, when I got to start the podcast, I thought, okay, I want to start a podcast, and I was on my homie's couch.
Yeah.
And then that was like last year in November, and I only started the podcast in February. But because during that period, you know, only like in February I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. But like before, you know, I've always been shy of cameras.
Yeah.
And I've always been shy of people hearing my voice. But then only I feel it's like as creatives, once we overcome those insecurities, only then can we let our art shine. Yeah.
But also sometimes it's not even about the insecurities. It's the parents.
Definitely.
I don't know how many people, especially girls, that want to DJ, but they're like, no, my parents don't want me to DJ and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, there's a tough one. Finish what you need to finish, like especially with school. If you are schooling, finish that, and then you have your own independence and do whatever you can to fund your creative side. Because obviously, especially in Namibia, I feel like you need to have different sources of income. Yeah, especially as an artist in the music industry, you need to kind of fund your you have to increase your income sources.
Definitely. And how did you come about to know that multiple income streams are really necessary? Like, what had to happen for you to understand, okay, I cannot only make money from DJing?
Well, from reading. I think definitely reading. And also just me not wanting to let all my other talents like go to waste. So I'm like, let me use everything that God gave me and see where it takes me. If it fails, I learn something. If it doesn't, okay, we keep pushing forward. But I'm gonna try everything that I can, like the dancing, the singing, and the.
So you actually dance?
I do.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought it was like a thing where you like get backup dancers or something, but like
yeah, sometimes I do just to complement my sets, but I always try to throw in some moves there.
Okay, no, that's great. I personally, I can't dance to save anyone's life, but really dancing does incorporate a lot of things, and I feel like dancing has always been that one thing where people are like, okay, if there's something we want from Africa, get people that can dance.
Yep.
It's always been something that when the world looks at us, they're like, oh no, these guys can really move.
Yeah.
So now back to what you were saying, that parents do play a role in a creative's life.
Yeah.
What advice, aside from them finishing school, there's the mental aspects of it.
Exactly.
You could feel that there's a lot of people that do not get out of that hole, where they've been criticized constantly and they've been told it won't work out. How do you think they need to approach that situation?
Yeah. Somehow I feel like you need to look at it in a way that I need to prove my parents wrong, or everybody else who's not supporting me. You need to prove all those people wrong, because that is the only way that people are gonna actually support you at the end of the day. If they see you are serious in something, if they see you are consistent, they will start supporting you. And you're like, okay, my son is actually talented and he sees where he wants to go. He has a vision. He sees where his creativity can take him. So yeah, man, consistency.
And that's really a live example, because I saw a reel on Instagram, and it was explaining, it was the Zaytoven, the producer, the American producer, and he's like, okay, I was producing in the garage, right? And his dad walked in and was like, no, you should get all of this rubbish out and what. When he made his first paycheck from his gigs, he went and gave his mom and dad 5,000. I don't know if that's the specific amount. Don't quote me, guys. But he gave them some money, right? And he says that the next day, his father was the one coming in the garage now, saying, hey, do you guys want any snacks? Do you need me to get anything, And understanding that perspective, to say that as much as, parents do it from a perspective of wanting to protect you.
Yes.
Not per se that your creativity is bad.
Yeah. Because I feel like they didn't really have information at their disposal. Us, we have so much information at our disposal. We know what we can do and what we shouldn't do. Like, in order to succeed, this is what you must do. This is the road you must take. So for them, they were not as lucky, so they just feel like anything that's related to art is not going to take you anywhere. So, yeah.
Because, you look at it and understanding that the creative arts is one of the most paying industries in the world. And for you to break out from the saturated, people, you need to understand that consistency is one.
Yeah.
But also you just have to have your own unique thing.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I look at people like Kanye West, for example. And I use such extravagant examples because those are people who, Kanye West wasn't really actually, one of those rappers from the hood or those things,
Yeah.
He was someone from like college, grew up in a nice home and stuff like that. But then people judged him for it. Like, what's going to come out of this guy? But look at where he is now.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the same with Travis Scott. He wasn't really a typical, he didn't grow up in the wood as well. So, yeah, that's a perfect example.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And personally, for me, Travis Scott is my favorite artist. And I love the fact that, when it comes to creativity, those are people that push the barriers.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Definitely pushing the barriers. So, how would you look at it and say that how do Namibian people play a role in pushing the barrier in terms of the creative community? Aside from creatives, because as normal people, we need to support each other.
Yeah.
We need to share each other's content, whether it's liking, commenting, But I feel like as the community, we need to understand that at a certain point, that creative arts deserve attention. Yeah.
So, wait, what's your question again?
The question
Even
was,
now, I lost.
You lost track.
Yeah,
that's okay. Because basically, the question was to say, what do you think Namibian people need to do to support the creative industry?
There was a whole situation there on Twitter as well, like how Namibians really don't support our art industry. They only support a song when it's big, but when it comes out, it's like, what's this? And I think
we're all guilty.
I have been guilty of that as well. It's like, okay, that's a song coming out. Okay, I'll listen to it later on. Then you're like, it's popping now, and that's when you are like, oh, it's the song that I was trying to listen to, and then especially with the
Take Me song.
Yes, the way I've had that song for like, I don't know when it dropped. I think it dropped last year.
In November.
I had it like since November, but it only started trending in Namibia last month. Not last month.
2 months ago.
2 months ago,
yeah. And definitely. So, like, looking at the Eat It Me situation in the whole Twitter debate, I feel like, everyone was on Twitter saying we don't support each other and everything. But I feel it's going to take more than just complaining on Twitter to change that. Because you look at it, Soaking, which throughout the whole podcast, we've spoken about him quite a lot. Because he's a guy just from Oshakati.
Yeah.
Right? He's a dude that we've seen around town. And he's got EPs. Like he's got another EP, I think it's called African Wonders, that hit 1 million streams on AudioMac, which is a great achievement, and that's in the Namibian space, But then, as the Namibians, they won't even recognize to say that's the guy.
I don't know how to change Namibians' mentality. We are very difficult people. I don't know if it's because of the population. It's like we kind of appreciate outside art more than our own, because there's a wider audience for that art. So they want to follow the trend that is already being followed outside instead of like creating our own trends. So we have a long road to go.
Definitely a long road to go. But I also feel like the more and more creatives we have in this space, and the more creatives focus on quality and actually producing content that is positive and helps people, I feel like we will get to a space where we now appreciate it, because there's actually creatives who have been around for a while. So like understanding that whole perspective to say, yes, the people don't support, but as creatives, are we creating anything of value?
Exactly, yeah. So I feel like people are actually putting out content. They are starting to put out good quality content, especially the young upcoming artists. I think our industry is actually in good hands. I won't lie to you, it's really in good hands. So at some point we will get to a really good point in the industry.
And definitely become trendsetters instead of trend chasers. Exactly. So with all of that in mind, and understanding to say, that there's upcoming people, which people do you feel like you definitely want Namibia to know more about?
People like King Elegant, people like I really don't like mentioning names, eh?
Oh, okay.
But there are a lot of young people that are setting the bar so high, and the quality that they're putting out, script, KPE list, people are putting out content. Linus,
This is definitely game changers out here in Namibia. And that's really great, because these are people that we can look up to.
Yeah.
And I feel like something that's really common in the Namibian community is that we copy each other down to the T. But then even when we copy each other, we do not remain consistent with the stuff that we've tried to copy, because generally the truth is you do not have the source. You do not have the recipe. So as much as you may try to copy, it will not work out at all.
Yeah.
So looking at that and the Vinduk scene, and collaborating, I've always questioned to say, why is it takes so long for like artists to produce something in Finland?
I mean, the art is very expensive. Like recording a song is expensive. Getting a beat is expensive. All of that logistics is very expensive. So you kind of have to now, okay, I have bills to pay. Do I record a song or do I pay my bills? So it's kind of that conflict a lot of the times. Because honestly, music is one expensive art. So I think that's what's holding a lot of people's consistency. So yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, you guys, you heard it. You gotta get your money up, and then you're gonna get your hit single. But we definitely had a nice chat with you, DJ Alba.
Thank you.
You know, I don't know any final words for the Namibian community. You can definitely tell them to the camera.
Guys, go out there, get it. Doesn't matter if an industry is saturated. Get it. Set yourself apart. Cement yourself. Take up space. Like, what is the girl? Miss Essay says, cement yourself and take up space. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that. And it was really nice having you on the show. And thank you guys for joining us on this episode. It was a really nice episode, and look forward to more and more episodes of the Flex Your Hustle podcast. If you guys have people that you want us to interview on the podcast, definitely leave a comment on our socials, on our YouTube, and yeah, we're gonna make it happen. Thank you so much, and bye.
Every day you gotta hustle.
Flex.
Each and every day.
Flex. Your hustle.
Need your meal.
Flex. Your hustle. Flex. 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 Your hustle. Flex. 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 Your hustle. Flex. 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 Your hustle.